Hollywood has always been a place of illusions. It's where love stories are written like scripts, where breakups are sold as headlines, and where truth is often buried under the shimmer of lights and cameras. And if there's one actor who has lived through the full weight of those illusions, it's Johnny Depp. For decades, the world has followed him not just as an actor, but as a character off-screen, someone whose life seemed too dramatic, too romantic, too chaotic to ever be real. People thought they knew every side of him, the rebel, the rock star, the lover, the fighter. But now, in one of the most unexpected turns yet, his new love story has broken through all of that. It has shattered the Hollywood illusions and left fans struggling to cope with what they're seeing. For years, Johnny Depp's name has been tangled up in every kind of headline imaginable. One moment he's celebrated as a legend of cinema, praised for roles that only he could pull off. The next, he's caught in legal battles that play out like public theater. He's been romanticized, villainized, adored, and torn apart. Sometimes. All in the same week, and through it all his love life has always been front and center. The glamorous partners, the red carpet appearances, the publicized fights. Every relationship became part of the spectacle. Fans grew used to it, as if watching another Depp film, but this time the role was simply called Johnny Depp. That's why when news broke that he had quietly found love again, people didn't know how to process it. This wasn't another Hollywood pairing designed for photo ops. This wasn't another star-crossed scandal playing out in the tabloids. This was something else, something quieter. Something that felt so real that it unsettled the narrative Hollywood had built around him. Suddenly, the Johnny Depp people thought they knew didn't seem so easy to define, and that's exactly why this story has captured so much attention. At first, the whispers sounded like every other rumor. Fans scrolling through social media saw the same words pop up again and again. Johnny has a new love. But then, the details began to surface. The person he was with wasn't who people expected. She wasn't a model splashed across magazine covers. She wasn't an actress trying to climb the Hollywood ladder. She wasn't part of the carefully choreographed illusion the industry thrives on. Instead, she was someone who seemed almost deliberately separate from that world, and that changed everything. Think about the pattern Depp's relationships have followed before. The world saw him linked to partners who, in some way, reflected the spotlight he was under. Beautiful, talented, but often just as exposed to fame's pressure as he was. And while those relationships made headlines, they also carried the same weight of scrutiny, the same cycle of obsession and judgment. This time, though, the narrative feels flipped. Instead of a partner who magnifies the chaos of Hollywood, he has someone who seems to anchor him outside of it. That shift alone has left fans in awe, and for some even in disbelief. The reaction online was instant. Twitter threads, Instagram posts, TikTok videos, it was everywhere. Some fans were overjoyed. They posted messages like, "Finally, Johnny deserves to be happy again. He's earned this peace." Others were confused. They asked questions like, "Is this real? Why aren't we seeing more?" And then there were the skeptics who questioned every angle, suggesting this might be another illusion, another carefully placed story. But here's the thing, none of those reactions fit perfectly, because what's happening here doesn't feel like the scripted drama we're used to. It feels unscripted. And that makes people uncomfortable because it forces them to see Johnny Depp as a man, not a myth. And maybe that's what makes this love story so powerful. Hollywood is built on control. Every image, every statement, every reveal, it's all part of the machine. But Depp has never been someone who fully played by those rules. He built his career on resisting the obvious path. He didn't want to be the typical leading man, even when everyone thought he could be. He chose roles that were strange, offbeat, even risky, because they felt true to him. And when it came to his personal life, he never really fit into the clean-cut mold either. He was always more at home in a quiet corner of France or on stage with his band, or painting in solitude than he was walking red carpets. So it makes sense in a way that his newest relationship doesn't play by Hollywood's expectations either. People close to him have started noticing the change. Insiders talk about how he seems more relaxed, more at ease, more present. After years of tension and public battles, he's found something or someone that steadies him. In rare moments when he's seen in public, fans say his smile looks different. Not the practiced grin of a movie star, but the quiet smile of someone who's simply content. And maybe that's what shocks people most, because for years, Johnny Depp has been defined by turbulence. Seeing him in peace almost feels like a twist nobody expected. The industry, of course, has its own way of reacting. Hollywood doesn't like when its illusions are broken. When a celebrity refuses to play the game, it creates ripples. Insiders have said that what really stings about this love story is how un-Hollywood it feels. No publicity stunts, no red carpet debut, no glossy magazine spreads. Just two people trying to build something real. That's not the story the industry knows how to sell. And yet, it's the story fans are most fascinated by. A celebrity biographer put it best. This is the healthiest move Johnny has made in years. Think about that. Healthiest move, not a new role, not a comeback movie, not even a headline victory in court, but love, a relationship, a decision to connect with someone who doesn't need the spotlight. For a man who's spent so much time under scrutiny, that kind of choice is more radical than any role he's ever played. Of course, fans want to know more. They want the details, the inside scoop, the fairy tale story. Who is she? How did they meet? What does this mean for his future? But Depp hasn't given them that. There's been no announcement, no statement, just silence. And in that silence, fans are left to wonder, to speculate, to create their own narratives. Some even believe he'll eventually reveal it, not through the tabloids, but through his art. Imagine that. A song that hints at his feelings, a painting that captures the quiet intimacy of love, a film role that mirrors his journey, that would be so uniquely Johnny, speaking not through words but through creativity. And honestly, that's what makes him so different. That's why people care, because Johnny Depp isn't just another actor that Hollywood has produced and packaged for the big screen. He's a storyteller, and not just when he's in front of the camera. He carries that same energy into his life. On screen, he disappears into characters like Jack Sparrow, Edward Scissorhands, or the Mad Hatter, giving audiences layers to peel back. Off-screen, it's much the same. He communicates through fragments, through subtle choices, through moments that don't always make sense until you step back and look at the whole picture. He doesn't hand people the full story neatly wrapped. He makes them look closer, search deeper, and connect the dots themselves. That's part of the allure. That's why fans remain so invested, because every chapter in his life feels like one more layer being revealed, one more part of Johnny Depp slowly unfolding, and now with this new love story, fans feel like they've stumbled onto another hidden chapter. A chapter that isn't about characters or Hollywood illusions, but about something far more personal, something real. That's why the conversation has exploded online. It's not just curiosity, it's fascination with how someone who has spent so much of his life on stage and under cameras could still keep part of himself private, and then let that private side slip out in such an unexpected way. It's important to remember where Johnny comes from. Long before he became the star of billion-dollar franchises, he was the quiet, almost reluctant actor who stumbled into Hollywood by accident. He wanted to be a musician. Acting wasn't even supposed to be his career. But fate pulled him in. And when it did, he approached it differently from others. He didn't want to play the polished leading man. He wanted characters that were messy, complicated, misunderstood. He built his career on showing audiences that beauty and pain can exist in the same person. And in many ways, that same philosophy carried into his personal life. Every relationship he's had has been seen through that lens of complexity. The highs and the lows, the tenderness and the turbulence. Fans have followed those love stories as if they were sequels to his films. But that's also why this new relationship feels like a plot twist. It doesn't fit the pattern. It doesn't follow the rules of what people expect from Johnny Depp, and maybe that's what makes it so captivating. When the first rumors surfaced, people brushed them off. Another tabloid story, another invented headline, another illusion. But then the details started to look different. There weren't staged photo shoots. There weren't leaks that suspiciously benefited a film release. There wasn't a PR campaign disguised as romance. Instead, there was silence. There was privacy. And that silence said more than any press statement ever could. It told the world, this isn't a show. This is his life. Fans who have followed him for decades noticed the difference almost immediately. The tone of the story felt softer, more grounded, more personal, and that made them curious. Who is she? How did they meet? Why now? For a man whose every move has been public property, to suddenly show a glimpse of love without explanation feels almost revolutionary. It's like he's rewriting the script in real time. And that's why fans are talking about it nonstop. Some are celebrating, convinced that Johnny has finally found peace. Others are skeptical, still conditioned by years of Hollywood illusions, waiting for the catch. And then there are those who are simply stunned, unsure how to react to a Depp headline that isn't wrapped in chaos or scandal, because for so long, that's all the world expected from him. Drama. To see him stepping into something calm throws people off balance, but maybe that's exactly what makes it real. Hollywood thrives on illusions because illusions are easy to sell. Love stories between two stars can be spun into magazine covers. Breakups can become headlines that boost careers. It's all part of the game. But Depp has never been good at playing games. He's always chosen the harder path, the path that feels true to him even if it costs him. And that's why this love story feels so significant. It's not about the industry, it's not about feeding fans what they expect. It's about him. People close to him have hinted at how different he seems now. After years of turbulence, the shift is noticeable. He looks calmer. He looks lighter. In rare public appearances, the smile on his face doesn't look forced. It looks natural, like someone who has finally found something, or someone, that makes the noise fade into the background. For someone who has lived under constant scrutiny, that kind of peace is priceless. It makes you wonder, is this the chapter Johnny Depp has been working toward all along? For decades, his life has been shaped by the push and pull of fame. But beneath it, he has always been searching for something deeper. Whether through his music, his art, or the characters he chose to play, he's always been chasing authenticity. And now, with this new relationship, maybe he's finally found it outside of his work. The industry doesn't quite know how to react. Hollywood loves control. It loves when stars fit into predictable boxes because that makes them easier to market. But Depp has never been predictable. His career has proven that time and again. And now his love life is doing the same. This relationship breaks the pattern. It shatters the illusion that stars always date other stars, that their lives are always built around the spotlight. And that's why it feels so disruptive. It's also why fans are so emotionally invested, because in some strange way, they see themselves in this story. They see a man who has lived through the extremes, fame, fortune, scandal, heartbreak, and still longs for the same thing everyone else does. Connection. Real connection. And if Johnny Depp, one of the most iconic actors of his generation, can still find that, then maybe there's hope for all of us. What makes this story even more fascinating is how silent he's been about it. In the age of social media, where every celebrity detail is posted, shared, and dissected instantly, Depp's refusal to explain himself feels almost rebellious. He hasn't offered statements. He hasn't given interviews. He hasn't turned it into a performance. He's simply living it. And that silence speaks volumes. Of course, fans can't help but speculate. Will he reveal more in time? Will he go public? Or will he keep this private forever? Nobody knows. But those who know, Depp's patterns believe that if he does reveal it, it won't be through tabloids or red carpets. It will be through art. Maybe a song, whispered through lyrics. Maybe a painting, capturing emotion without words, maybe even a film character carefully chosen to reflect the truth of what he's feeling. That would be the most Johnny Depp move of all, sharing his love not as gossip but as art. And that's what separates him from others. He isn't just another celebrity moving from one headline to the next. He's an artist who uses his entire life as a canvas. He tells stories through the roles he chooses, through the music he plays, through the paintings he creates. And now this love story might become one more layer of that ongoing masterpiece. Think about it. Every great story he's told has had some truth in it. Jack Sparrow wasn't just a pirate. He was a man fighting to stay free in a world that wanted to control him. Edward Scissorhands wasn't just a gothic character. He was a symbol of isolation, of the struggle to be accepted. And maybe this new chapter, this new love, is Johnny's way of reminding the world that at the core of everything, fame, controversy, roles, illusions, he's just a man searching for peace. And isn't that what makes people love him? Not just the characters, not just the performances, but the humanity behind it all, the vulnerability, the flaws, the raw honesty that sneaks out even when he doesn't mean it to. That's why fans feel so connected to him, because in a world where so many stars feel untouchable, Johnny Depp feels human. And this new relationship is just another reminder of that humanity. It's strange, isn't it? For years, people begged for a Hollywood ending to his story. A comeback film. A triumphant return to the top. But maybe the real ending, or beginning, was never meant to be written on a movie screen. Maybe it was always meant to be written quietly, away from the spotlight, in the form of love that doesn't need to be sold as an illusion. And maybe that's why fans can't cope. Because in a way, this love story shatters the illusions not just of Hollywood, but of their own expectations. They wanted drama. They wanted spectacle. They wanted another story to watch unfold from afar. But what they got was real. And real is harder to process. Real doesn't always fit the narrative. Real doesn't always entertain. But real is what matters. And so here we are watching Johnny Depp live a story that doesn't play by Hollywood's rules. A story that isn't neat, isn't marketed, isn't designed for us. It's designed for him. And maybe that's the most inspiring part of all. Because after everything he's been through, after the storms he survived, after the illusions that nearly consumed him, Johnny Depp has found something simple, something honest, something true. And if that isn't the most powerful twist in his story yet, then what is? Now here's where the conversation gets personal. Imagine what it's like to live decades of your life in front of millions. Imagine every relationship you've had being turned into headlines, every fight you've had being public property. Imagine strangers analyzing your love life as if it were their own business. At some point, wouldn't you crave something quieter? Wouldn't you crave something real? That's what makes this story so relatable. It's not just about Johnny Depp. It's about the universal need for love that feels safe, love that heals, love that doesn't need to perform for the world, and maybe that's why some fans are struggling to cope. They're so used to seeing Johnny through the lens of drama and spectacle that seeing him in something simple, private, and real, almost, feels foreign. But maybe that's the point. Maybe this love story isn't about giving fans what they expect. Maybe it's about giving Johnny what he needs. As for what happens next, nobody knows. Maybe he'll stay quiet forever. Maybe he'll reveal more in time. Maybe this will become a public chapter, or maybe it will remain private. But what's clear is this. Johnny Depp has shifted the narrative. He's shown that after everything, after the chaos, the battles, the illusions, he's still capable of finding something pure. And that, in itself, is a story worth telling. So, when you think about Johnny Depp's new love, don't just think of it as another headline. Think of it as a reminder. A reminder that behind the illusions of Hollywood, there are real people searching for the same things we all are. Peace, connection, and love that feels true. And if Johnny has found that, maybe it's the happiest ending he could write for himself, Or maybe, just maybe, it's the beginning of an entirely new chapter.